And we are back with our third video in the series of Homeschooling 100 series. And this is Homeschooling 103. And it is all about branding. Now, y'all notice the theme where everything is kind of starts with a B? That's going to be the theme for the 100 series. Everything is going to start with a B. But branding. So, what is homeschool branding all about? Basically, with homeschool branding, that is the framework that you're using for your homeschool. That's if you are classical or trivium, if you're Charlotte Mason, well trained mind, if you are Montessori based or Waldorf or STEM or project based, or, it's really, kind of like what's your framework. And I know that not everybody agrees on the dividing of the frameworks, or should you call it framework? Should you call it foundation? I'm not caring about that with this series. This is just, giving you my personal opinion of it, and I'm not gonna argue with semantics at this point because I don't think that that's really beneficial for this conversation. What I'm just saying, that's why I made up branding, because what else? But for this, the reason why I am a fan of branding your homeschool, or acknowledging the foundation that you have and the framework that you have for your homeschool, is because for me, it saves me sanity and it saves me money. The reason is because um, over the past years in homeschooling, just in the few years I've been homeschooling, we've been homeschooling for 5 years now. And just in that time, I have seen the number of homeschool products and resources available absolutely explode. There are literally now thousands of different combinations of things that you can use in your homeschool. And if you go to a homeschool convention or conference or something like that, and you walk into that convention auditorium and you see all those tables with all that stuff, it can be overwhelming if you don't have a filter. And so I like having that filter in which I'm looking through things, where it's like it doesn't matter how great it is if it doesn't fit my foundation. So it doesn't matter how pretty the stair carpet is if I live in a ranch style home, because we don't have an upstairs, so it doesn't matter. Okay, so that's how it is with my homeschool. You guys know I have a STEM based homeschool, and that works for me because it is the lens through which I can look at things. And so it's like, okay, if this doesn't fit in with the foundation, then it's not something that I even have to worry about. Now, that doesn't mean that we don't do English or literature. We do all that stuff. But I would never even consider a literature program that took up, um, you know, 2 hours a day, because I don't have 2 hours a day to spend on literature with my kids, because we're doing other things where we do spend 2 hours a day on math. Whereas somebody who's in a more classical type education, if they're in literature based education, or if they're project based learning, something like that, they're probably not spending 2 hours a day on math. And so just understanding that foundation and that framework, that's really going to help you with, kind of streamlining how the where you look for things. Because I mean, I've seen it in postings on social media. I've even seen it in my bookmarks, where if you look at my bookmark window right now, you may see 300 bookmarks. And it's like, you know what? I can delete like 250 of those, honestly, because they might be great websites. They might have great information, but they don't fit my framework. And that saves me time for looking at things that aren't going to fit, and it saves me from buying things that aren't going to fit. So that's why I really like having that framework and the foundation. On the flip side of that, when you're choosing the foundation that you are going to be using for your homeschool, you have to homeschool the kids that you have. Okay, so it doesn't matter how interesting the foundation is if it doesn't mesh with the children that you have. What do I mean by that? Some kids don't like kinesthetic learning. Some kids don't like to learn by doing stuff. they just don't like that. That's just their nature. And so if you have a child that they're not a kinesthetic learner, Montessori education is probably not going to be the best fit for you, because, or your household, because that's not going to be the best fit for your kid. If your child doesn't love reading and love literature, okay, then a classical veritas education, that's probably not going to be a good fit for you. If your child does not love math and is also not really, really good in math, STEM-based education is probably not a good fit for you. And so you want to be honest about the kids that you have and homeschool the children that you have, because if you get the right fit, they will have a great education. You don't have to have a STEM-based education for your child to become a medical doctor or an engineer or anything else like that. What matters is that their foundation is set, they have the basics, they understand how to learn, they've had an opportunity to learn and grow. That's what matters. So you don't have to say, well, my kid wants to be a this, and so we have to have a STEM-based education so they can be a this. No, because if that's not if that's not the best fit for them, not only do you stop them from having the potential to become what they wanted to be, you may have stopped them from having the potential to become other stuff as well, because their fit was such a mismatch that they didn't get the basics. They didn't get the foundation that they needed for their education. Okay, so you want to homeschool the children that you have. The flip side of that is you want to also have a homeschool that fits the educator that you are. I think this is the one that people have kind of the most trouble with, because it's really hard to admit to our shortcomings. I mean, that's just hard. But we got to do it. Okay. So I would take me, for instance. I am not a creative person. You are never going to see like arts and crafts from me, because I can't do it. I do not have the ability. It's not that I don't like it. It's not that I wouldn't want to. I do not have the skill set necessary for that. So because I do not have the skill set necessary to be able to create these beautiful projects and have these beautiful outcomes and all that kind of stuff, I don't need to have a project-based homeschool. I don't need to have that, because you have to be able to create and make and put things together and see how they fit, and you're going to be doing a lot of creating on your own, and that's not me. And it would deprive my kids if I was sitting up there trying to make it. Believe me, I've tried it. I've said, okay, I'm gonna make my lap books, and when I finally was like, you know what, my daughter's reading journals, y'all see how I do those? I make a photocopy of the front of the book, and I put the match card books in between, and that's it. Because that's as creative as I get. That's as crafty as I get, and I got nothing else. Nothing. Okay, so I have to be aware of those shortcomings for me, and not say I'm going to make this my foundation, because that would make me fail my children. And it would deprive my children of the education they should have, because I'm trying to wear shoes that don't fit. Okay? And just like if you don't like reading, and you don't like reading aloud, if you don't like reading and you don't like reading aloud, you probably don't want to do like a literature-based homeschool. I get that kids that come through a literature-based homeschool, they tend to be deeply and well read. They have this vast area of knowledge. They have all these cultural cues to go on, and it's beautiful. But if that's not you, it's not going to work well anyway. And so you have to be okay with that, and you have to be honest about that, because you can only do what you can do. Okay, you can only be what you are. Okay, and that's not a bad thing. What makes it a bad thing is when you try to ignore that, or you say, you know, that doesn't matter. I don't have to worry about my shortcomings, because love will get me through. If you can't open a calculus book today and love your way through the last chapter in the book and get all the problems right without looking at the answers in the back of the book, love's not going to do it. Mm-mm. So That can't be, and that's okay. You don't have to. What you have to do is find what's going to fit for your kids. And so if you know you are not strong in math, you're going to want to make sure that you have a framework and a foundation that is going to allow you to have math programs where you might have to do video-based programs, you might have to contract out math, you might have to use a curriculum that somebody else is going to be teaching, because that's not your strong suit. You probably are not going to be able to answer the questions, and being 1 page ahead or 2 pages ahead or 5 pages ahead is not going to cut it. Same thing is true. Like, I'm not good at geography. I am not good at all in geography. My eldest loves geography, and he self-taught himself a lot of it. But when it came to him really understanding the nitty-gritty of geography, I got him an online curriculum that was deep. It had lots of information. It had lots of layers. He could keep track of his stuff, because I can't help you. I went to Belize last week, and I could probably, I can identify it on a map only because when we were on the tour, they were like, okay, yeah, Mexico is your neighbor to the south, they're our neighbor to the north. So I'm like, okay, it is 2 countries down from where I am now. Okay, that's how I know. Okay, so that's, if I said I am going to be my child's geography teacher, because hey, no. So you have to be honest about the homeschool teacher that you are, and you have to be honest about the children that you have, so that when you choose a framework and build from that framework, you are finding the best fit for the family, because that is what they need. It's not about choosing the best framework. There is no best framework. Doesn't even matter what your children want to be or what they're interested in. That doesn't define your framework. Okay, what your children are interested in does not define your framework. It is, how do your children learn? Okay, what are your children's strengths and weaknesses? What are your strengths and weaknesses? Those are the things, those combinations of things are what define your framework. What resources you have available to you in your home, your financial resources, what resources are available in your community, what things are available, what kind of classes and things are available in your community, your country standards, your states. There's a lot of things that determine your framework. So don't feel like your framework will determine your child's future. How well you institute the framework you've chosen is what will have an impact on that, because it's always going to be about the basics. Does your child know the basics? Inside out, upside down, around? Do they know how to learn? Can they fill their own gaps? Those are the things that are going to determine where they are in the future. So your framework is to help you filter out things that would not be helpful, to help you be able to have a reasonable list of things that you're going to be choosing from, and to help you better establish what sort of sequencing that you're going to be using and what sort of things you're going to be doing in your homeschool. That's what it's about. It is not about, okay, my child wants to be a lawyer, so we have to be classical. My child wants to be an engineer, so we have to be STEM. That's not it. And if that's what's driving your decision, you want that's not it. Okay. And so that's not how you choose your framework. You choose it based on the children that you have, the homeschool educator that you are, the resources in the home and in the community that are available for you, the state standards that you have. All those sort of things come into play. I hope this helps. This is Dr. J, and I'm out. Bye-bye.